afternoon, Superkickin with Stephen and Greg fans. Your favorite host right here, Stephen A. 1181, the Wiz over there. Sorry about yesterday. We are live today in the flesh, all ready to go. Greg is jacked up somewhere in parts unknown, as they say. I'm here in the usual Stephen 2.0 or 3.0, whatever podcast studio I am on, but we are here live, ready to go. Yesterday, I was talking to Greg off air. I was busy with robotics competition. It is a long, long day. But, Greg, we have 4 teams for our robotics. One right now is currently we'll be heading, to a state competition, so that's pretty awesome. We'll hopefully maybe get a 1 or 2 more. That actually happens at Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's pretty cool. They take all this robotic stuff and put it literally on the football field of Lucas Oil. And yeah, the kids really love it. And it's elementary, middle school, and even high school, Greg. So just imagine what that looks like with about 300-ish robotics teams, adults, coaches, visiting spectators watching. It is yesterday's a long day, but that day is a even longer day when it all comes down to it. But happy to be here.
The future of AI, right?
Do what?
The future of AI, right?
Yes. Pretty soon they probably won't even have the kids doing the robots. They'll probably have them controlling them somewhere else. But hey, if we could just control from the school, not to go down in some way, that would be a whole nother experience. So yeah, very entertaining day, and we got one big competition left. We might squeeze in another one. And see where as they say, the chips may fall. But we've had a busy weekend last weekend, Greg, and a lot of news to talk up. Anything real quick for the good of the matter that happened in your neck of the woods that you'd like to bring up before we get into the Royal Rumble that was?
Just lots of good mojo as they, speaking of Lucas Oil Stadium and the NFL Pro Football over in my neck of the woods. If you're a Chargers fan, who's got it better than us? Yep. Nobody. We saw that Jim Harbaugh press conference, and everybody's fired up. The whole fan base is rocking and feeling it. Everybody's grading us an A for bringing in the coach, and now, let's go. I watched that introductory news conference, and, I'm fired up. I'm ready to get out there and go hit somebody. So when he walks in that building and he's going to get everybody else fired up like that, so stoked for, this upcoming season, as I was the season before and the season before. But, there's a new vibe in the air, new electricity in the air, if you will, with Mr. Jim Harbaugh in the building, a coach who can coach, and everywhere he goes, he creates winners and he wins championships. So, the level of optimism for this next season is even higher than the seasons before. So we're going to have some shakeups because people are going to be gone that some names we know, but, as part of the process, got to make room in the cap, got to, you got to reshape the roster. And, there's already talk about that he wants to bring in Saquon Barkley. So there's lots of news flying, and I'm here for all of it.
See if there's some life left in those legs, right, of Saquon. I feel like, just kind of injury ridden here and there, but that first couple seasons he was off the chart, and now I feel like you just don't, running backs, Greg, obviously are very tough. You just don't know, hit or miss, right? But right. We are currently in WrestleMania season, Greg, for the WWE side of things. So I think we'll just start with the Royal Rumble. Maybe let's hit up the middle matches first, Greg, and then kind of, hit up the Royal Rumble matches. But Logan Paul defeats Kevin Owens because of a DQ, Greg. Some brass knucks involved. I guess the big question is, we're still kind of running this feud. Do we ultimately see Kevin Owens getting the better of Logan Paul at WrestleMania, or could it be any sooner? Which direction do you think we're going?
It looks like it's trending towards WrestleMania. It's Well, yeah, 2 months away, but there's plenty of space to add to the storyline. Maybe you could throw in an extra match where
Elimination
it is
Chamber in
up in a
Australia.
yeah, is up with another non-finish or DQ, maybe on the other side, and then you have a special
The
match, a
rubber match.
cage match, or some type of no holds barred, because Logan needs that extra wiggle room
Yeah.
instead of beating KO in a straight up wrestling match with no sugar on top. You need the extra for him as far as being able to um, put on a match that he obviously won't get thrown out for cheating. So I think it's trending towards WrestleMania, and it's that story's been rolling, and it's gaining enough steam. People are interested in it, and when he actually beats Logan, it should be on stage like WrestleMania, where you got the most eyes on it, got all of Logan's social media people looking at it, and it gets everybody maximum effect.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we also have the Grayson Waller, Austin Theory side pieces. Greg, maybe we can do a 2-on-1 in Elimination Chamber. Maybe that's his way to get back because like Logan Paul was saying, hey, you're never going to get a shot again. So, and Grayson Waller's in Australia, Greg. So, what better way to humiliate a fellow countryman in his own country than KO taking out both punching both people in the face, as they say. So, also Roman retains, really solid fatal four-way event, Greg. I guess we're looking at what AJ Styles and LA Knight on the collision course towards Mania. I don't know where Orton's going to go though, Greg. We do know Roman Reigns. I think we should save that till a certain SmackDown review, Greg, because that's the big story there. But where do we maybe see Orton kind of going in all this?
That's the question because it looks like between the three of them, the beef is between AJ and LA Knight, and they're really focusing on those two hard. So as far as Orton goes, um, maybe he's going to have a special match as far as
Yeah,
a star that comes out of the woodwork for a one-off, another legend, you
you want
know,
Cena, but do you think the traction's there enough, Greg, or do we probably need a year build for that, right?
yeah,
For the
like, do
Cena and
we
Orton.
want Cena? I mean, look at the last few matches we've seen Cena in.
Yeah,
So he's got smoked by Solo Sikoa, and then
yeah.
um,
Well, I guess we do have the
he's
solo match. That's probably where we're headed.
that's
Since
probably
Solo,
it.
yeah, he's kind of been the big muscle there in the way of Orton. So, um,
Right.
go ahead. Sorry.
Roman's going to be occupied, of course, so at least Solo nothing to do. Um, Jimmy, I think we're still going to work on that Jimmy versus Jay match. We got the little preview of that, and then Solo versus Randy is the natural next step, probably.
Mhm. Yep. Women's Royal Rumble match. Big win for Bailey, Greg. She finally adds that to her notch. Not much left for Bailey to really, knock off that wrestling list. And we saw where she's heading. We'll kind of leave that in the air for now, Greg. But really good match. She becomes the new Iron Woman. I don't know. Maybe that's their plan, Greg. Every new winner just surpasses the next record, kind of build that up. But the big surprise was Jordan Grace. Not on my radar at all, Greg, that Jordan Grace would be in there. And she left it open. A lot of tweeting. Don't know if there's any smoke behind it, Greg, but she kind of wants to maybe do some more business with Bianca Belair maybe or Natalia. She mentioned in a
Mm-hmm.
tweet. Her and Ivy Nile, they had a really good standoff, um, and just don't look like they're muscular buff women. Well, Jordan does, Greg, but Ivy Nile is a uh, much stronger than we realize type person. I mean,
Yeah.
she was definitely holding her own. So uh, no real legends, if I recall, in there. Just really the current women's roster, Greg. And then like we said, maybe the addition of Ivy Nile in there. Tiffany Stratton, what a showing for her, Greg. I think we really, and now we've seen her sign a contract on SmackDown. Jade, obviously, taking out Naya. So it looks like,
Yep.
Jade is headed for high things, especially if I'm guessing, maybe Elimination Chamber, we do 3 Raw and 3 SmackDown, Greg. I think she'd be easily put in there in the Elimination Chamber. And, as far as facing Rhea, Ripley, even though it's still, maybe we're getting Rhea and Naya at Elimination Chamber to kind of let that play out. And then whoever faces, whoever wins the Elimination Chamber. But just a really, I think I enjoyed the women's Royal match just a little bit more than the men's, even though the men's had its moments too. So, kind of your own take on the women's match and Bailey coming out on top, Greg.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the women's match was more entertaining than the men's match was. The men's match was a lot more story driven, more
Yeah.
getting those, that down the road established as far as who's going to be doing what.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Jordy Grace. I was about to text you. Isn't Jordy Grace TNA? When Michael Cole said something about her being TNA, I was like,
At the
okay, I thought
title.
so. I didn't miss something, but they did it last year with Nikki James, and this could end up being a recurring thing. Apparently TNA and WWE are on good terms, and maybe be seeing more crossover between the two. Jordan Grace looks like a bigger version of Ivy Nile, just muscles on top of her muscles,
Mm-hmm.
and those two had a nice little standoff and mix up for a minute, but that's a little tease as far as what we could be seeing, and lay the groundwork if she goes back to TNA and we don't see anything of her for a while. You have that little clip to roll out whenever she comes back. So that was a good play. I like that they had all current stars in there and just left the legends, out of this one, because there's too many lesser talents on the women's side that you need to give that shine to,
Yeah.
as opposed to bringing in Lita to jump off the ropes for a minute, or Trish or whoever else.
I was gonna say, there's really not any women legends that were like pushing to get a spot. I mean,
Right.
we've seen Michelle McCool enough. I do think maybe some of those mid 2000 women's, maybe Candice Michelle just for S's and G's, as they say, Greg, but, or who was the other part? Michelle McCool, then was it Layla?
Yeah.
Layla. I mean, we haven't really seen her ever, so that'd be kind of interesting to maybe throw her out. But I think, like you said, a really good shine for the current crop and who
Right.
could be, up and coming. So
Because they all need it. They're not getting enough time, and they don't have enough name recognition, or they need to build their brand, so to speak. So it's good that they just focus on who they have signed right now.
And that's kind of how I think the men's went. You know what? Andrade was really the only surprise, I think we got. Sounds like some people are putting Braun Breaker in that Goldberg spot. Or, sorry, in the Brock Lesnar spot.
Right.
Face off with, Gunther. Well, sorry, we did get Pat McAfee, Craig, as a surprise. We saw what happened with him, but, and was that a wasted spot? Probably. But, hey, if it's one wasted spot, Greg, it is what if you
Yeah.
could throw a name in there you'd rather put over McAfee, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But Braun Breaker really showing out. Do we think he ends up on Raw or Smack? I'm kind of thinking if you're going to go Raw, Greg, and give him and Gunther at Mania, I think he's got to take over.
Mm.
I think I felt like there, you don't tease that without some payoff, Greg. We did have Nick Aldis wheeling and dealing Friday night, Greg, with some SmackDown contracts. So now it's, all about what can Raw do, which I like. It's not just I like that, tease of they actually have the contract in their hands, not
Right.
just, hey, this person showed up. So it is adding some realism to that idea that, yeah, this is still a sport and whatnot. But yeah, Gunther and Braun Breaker, Jimmy and Jay, 1 and 2, Greg. That is by design, obviously.
Mhm.
We're on that path, and saw Rikishi tweeting out for that. Cody gets the back-to-back wins, Greg. Unfortunately, at the expense of a torn pec. The other one is what we're hearing, Greg. The other side of CM Punk out 4 to 6 months. But now it's given another side of Drew, Greg. So it's weird how everything, now we kind of have another, storyline that is all set for CM Punk. I guess that does make you wonder, Greg, is Drew McIntyre probably close to re-signing? With him teasing so much, like, especially since I'm pretty sure they said his contract's up at Mania. Maybe they signed some short-term thing in the meantime, but yeah, SummerSlam-ish, maybe him and Punk or Survivor Series type deal, Greg. But Drew McIntyre, CM Punk seems to be the push there. What were I guess Andrade back? We all saw that. Oh, sorry, we did forget Naomi, Greg. Naomi was almost a little bit of an afterthought, but good to see her back, looking blacklit as always, with Naomi. But so what did you think about the men's Royal Rumble? Do we think that the Cody Rhodes was an impromptu call, Greg, or do we think Cody was going to win it all along?
The world will never know now. But,
yeah.
It was juicy with the thought of Punk winning and knowing that natural beef that he and Rollins had, that match would be the banger to end all bangers.
Yeah.
Just the styles they both work, and one could, be competing to, out lowbrow the other. And as far as, doing anything to win, it would have been a blast, I think. Yeah. So I could see them calling it for Cody, and I could see them calling it for Punk. And watching it in real time, I thought Punk was going to win it. Of course, he gets injured during the match, and they low key let it known, and then it's going to happen, and Cody's going to win, and it's disappointing because I think it's not going to come out until after. Probably they're both retired, that we're going to get the answer to that question. But it helps Cody as far as finishing his story, and we'll get to the confusion after that. But like I said, we did lay the groundwork for Punk's comeback, and with Drew coming out, laying the promo that he did, which is really good, a really good heel promo. By the way,
taking him out.
And taking him out. I don't think you do that unless you're going to sign him to a extension. My only thing is how long is the extension going to be? Is it going to be just to finish the Punk feud, and then he's out, or if they're actually giving him, a multi-year deal? So
I would assume it's got to be multi-year, because I feel like if it's Triple H, he's booking for the long haul. I don't think we necessarily see. Maybe, because it's not like Drew's going to be a part-timer type deal, Greg. Like, I think Drew's in for the long haul. So I did put that as the other story, CM Punk just saying he got injured from Drew McIntyre. He did look like he was rolled out. He was definitely talking to the ref a few times, Greg. You could kind of see in some different screenshots that people show. It's not like they're saying it's not a reoccurrence of a previous injury. So that's good. I mean, in a way, you would hate to injure the same pec or same tricep, Greg, because, then that's who's to say that might be a lingering thing. So, and, I guess it is always that thing, like you sprain one ankle, you put stress on the other one without really knowing it sometimes. So maybe that's what happened there with CM Punk. And, but like we said, now we kind of got a tailor-made feud. Almost like Owen 316, Greg, with, Owen taking out Stone Cold with his neck and different things that we've had. So, any last thoughts on CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre for the time being, Greg?
Well, Punk heals up, comes back fast, beats the timeline, but, in a safe way, make sure he's come back 100%.
Yeah.
And, looking at those two, you wonder how is he going to beat Drew? Drew's, probably 5, 6 inches taller and
Yeah.
probably another 50, 60 pounds heavier. But, um, I'm curious to see how that match will go down.
Mm.
Um, Men's Rumble was excellent. I loved the little face-offs they had in there.
Yeah.
Um, Jay versus Jimmy was the natural thing to do to get the crowd pop, and being able to hear the holy bleep chants when they're not bleeped out. That was
Yeah.
great. You got a few of those. Saw some good returns. They hadn't seen the Omos in a minute. Forgot about that he existed. Um, and it was good to see Andrade. Gunther looked like a killer as always, and
Mhm.
um, just a really great, solid men's rumble. Nobody cares that McAfee was in and out. And he limited himself. I like that part.
Yeah.
Because just wrong time to get your entry in there with Omos standing in the middle of the ring, and I forgot who the other guy was, but um, yeah, I would have probably elected to no, I'm good, and just
Yeah.
rolled out of the ring. As soon as he came back, I knew he was going to be an entrant. It's like
Yeah. That's true.
it was pretty obvious to me that they were going to hear his music at some point. Um, but I'm happy to see he's back and on the SmackDown announce team, or no, the Raw announce team. He keeps
Yeah.
getting
Yeah. So now we'll
well,
have
him
him
and
and
Cole.
Michael Cole on Raw, and we have Wade Barrett shifting to color commentary with Corey Graves on SmackDown. Greg as play-by-play, and Corey Graves tweeted out that was the most nervous he's been in a while, Greg, because we've never really heard Corey on play-by-play,
Right.
so that's really going to be an interesting transition for him. And I think they still got some kinks to work out, just because they're both color guys. So it's going to take and that's uh, I guess some people had qualms with Kevin Patrick. I do think the almost out of breath like Excalibur gets a little tiresome on the ears, Greg. But I don't know. I didn't really see anything too egregious as oh God, we got to get him out of here. He's no Mike Adam like Greg, so I guess that's I don't know if that's saying much, but or that who they have the Adnan Burke. Remember he was on
Yeah.
commentary for a hot minute. I mean, he was obviously steps above him. So if we're gonna put him in the best to worst, I don't I didn't have much with it. Is there anything that really you thought, oh my God, like Kevin Patrick's got to go, Greg?
No, I thought he sounded good on the mic. I do like the shakeup with the announced teams. Cole and McAfee are natural.
Yeah,
They play off each other so well. So it's unusual seeing them on the red brand. It just shocks you for a minute.
yeah,
Um, but I'm super excited. They're trying to reestablish Raw as the flagship. SmackDown's been getting all the attention with the Bloodline, and the hottest stories have been on SmackDown. So having those two on Raw to add more punch is a great idea. You don't need the A announcers on what's essentially the hot show. You want to put them on the flagship, so it makes perfect sense to me. And um, they've retooled it, and now I think the two best pairs in the two best places.
yeah.
I
I mean, and
like
I
I said,
saw
I didn't
some.
mind KP, but
Oh yeah,
I get it. You can move them to pre-shows and do stuff like that. But
if yeah,
so
I think yeah, because we have I I guess I don't know if they really ever make it known if they let off announcer. I haven't seen anything official, Greg, but yeah, I don't know why he couldn't do little things here and there, but and I saw some maybe calling up Vic Joseph. I think Vic and Corey Graves would have been a really solid pairing, Greg. But
mhm.
then what do you do with Wade Barrett? So, um, but hey, that's too much announcer talk. Let's get to the actual in-ring action. So we did have CM Punk in there, Greg, kind of talking out, his very emotional message. He called out Chad Gilbert, who actually plays a Newfound Glory, Greg, fighting cancer. And that guy, I saw on one of their first concerts when he was like back, like he was sitting in a recliner chair, Greg, playing guitar. So there was
Nice.
definitely some truth to the Chad Gilbert story. And I know that CM Punk is big friends with a lot of punk rock bands, obviously, with his upbringing and all that. So that was really cool to kind of. I imagine Chad Gilbert of Newfound Glory was like, "Oh my God, I'm getting name dropped on WWTV and Emotional Wreck, so by CM Punk." And then it looks like we're off on Drew and Sammy. Does Sammy get the big win over Drew at Mania, Greg? Because that kind of looks like we're heading with that.
Um, I'm not certain.
Yeah.
Having Drew, go full on heel is great, and it's necessary. But is he good? There's those heels that are serious monster heels, and we know when they step in the ring, it's going to be some doubt in as far as who's in there with him, actually winning the match, or you can be one of those heels that's the joke, and they can huff and puff, but they're going to get beat at the end of the day. So I think it'd be better if Drew actually wins, because Sammy's pretty much Teflon at this point. So you can probably do better having Drew not smoke him, but beat him to the point of he gets the win and he puts that little extra on it. Attacks after the match, gets more sympathy for Sammy, and gives him a payoff down the road. So I think since Drew hasn't had a big win at WrestleMania, even if it's as a heel, it's kind of a way to pay him back.
Yeah, and that's probably the better way to go about it. Sammy and KO obviously got their big moments, so can't give them 2 years in a row, Greg, with big moments, right? Be too much.
And and it's good incentive. If you're trying to re-sign a man, it's like, okay, here's a boatload of money, but you're going to lose at WrestleMania. I'd be negotiating that into my deal.
Yeah, that's true. And I do feel like Drew's probably Teflon too. Because you could even have him beat up Sammy after the fact, or some. Because I assume this would be an undercard type match, but still have a big fight feel, as they always say. So.
Sure.
Speaking of that, Judgment Day DIY, Greg, really great effort. This first hour was commercial free, so it was nice that we didn't have to sit through commercial breaks, Greg. We could really let this play out. DIY and Judgment Day, probably the next couple months for WrestleMania. Maybe we have a couple other tag teams in there, Greg.
Yeah. It's such a good.
Gunn and Tyler Bate will get
Tyler Bate.
They'll get the winner of the Raw match tomorrow night, and then that person will fight Judgment Day. But I feel like we'll keep DIY in the background per se, trying to fight back to get in that title match. So.
Sure, I'm feeling at least a 3-way, if not a 4-way match at WrestleMania for the titles.
And could Austin Truth be in there, Greg, with the beatdown of Truth?
There you go. Could
that be the payoff of all this? Miz and R-Truth winning tag team gold?
That would be amazing. And not because of the Miz. Everybody would be in it because we love R-Truth.
And now that I think about it, that almost feels like where we could go, because R-Truth getting beat down, the Miz getting beat down. What better team to get their revenge at Mania against Judgment Day? And then maybe, Damian Priest cashes in later on or something like that. But, because they did lay it out. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark got a big win, Greg. Women's tag team wrestling. The other match, I think, was Tegan Nox and Natalya getting beat by the Kabuki Warriors. Looks like we're going to do the breakup of Tegan Nox and Natalya. Too soon, Greg, or do we think that that's probably a good thing? Because I feel like there are a lot of tag teams now. Maybe not a lot, but I don't think every woman needs to be a tag team, right?
Right. I think it's a good thing because Tegan and Natalya weren't getting any love, any attention, and they were coming out the crickets. So it's better to cut bait and let them two do their own thing. Not every plan is going to work, so better to do it too soon than too late.
And Tegan Knox is a fellow Australian, Greg, so maybe giving her a nice singles win in her home country would be kind of a nice little undercard, match or kickoff match to do there next month. They, want to do that. So, what
Yeah.
about Cody or Seth Rollins's promo, Greg? A really good case why Cody Rhodes should go after him.
Mhm.
And I think maybe after Friday night, now we see why that promo was laid out. Because we got to build up this title. We got to give this extra steam to this title, which we've seen Seth do all he can. And now really laying it out there that, hey, this is the title you want. This title you should go after is really huge. There's a big press conference next Thursday, Greg. Or sorry, this coming Thursday for WrestleMania. So it should be interesting to see if maybe Cody and Seth announce anything on Monday night or where we're going with this. A lot of people are already pooping on The Rock and Roman, Greg, but we don't necessarily know yet if they're officially going to announce the match. I think the press conference will clear things up then. So, but what about Seth Rollins' promo? I thought really well done to build that up as a legit title, which it is already, but it gives it that extra oomph to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic promo. And we're listening to it, and it was like, yep, he's right. He's right. He's right.
Yeah,
Everything
you're not
he's saying,
disagreeing with it.
right. It's not word vomit. It's not Jim trying to put himself over. Everything he's saying is legit. Roman doesn't come around. I'm here every week in, week out. Yep, absolutely. This was the title that was taken out of Dusty's hands way back in the day. This is the title you want. Yep, absolutely. Everything you said, it hit every time. And, invoking Dusty, which is always usually the way to Cody's heart, that, he turned that key a few times and we're listening to it like, yep, everything is right. And so beautiful case. And, I think he has a little low key he wants him for himself because, when Cody came back last year, Seth lost 3 matches in a row to Cody. So, he wants some get back for that.
Yeah.
And it should be, in my mind, if I was coming in as a brand new fan as of last year, I'd be like, why wouldn't Cody want to fight Seth? He's got the championship and he beat him 3 times last year in big matches. We all remember when he took off the jacket, we saw the peck inside the cage, and he still beat him. So, if I was, brand new just watching this, like, why wouldn't he fight Seth? And now Seth's trying to convince him, you need to fight me. And they're not bringing up the fact that he lost 3 times to him last year. So he made a great case knowing that he's probably going to say he was going to fight Roman, but the promo and the whole back and forth between the two was perfect.
Gunther defeated Kofi Kingston. I think we kind of saw where that, I think we can see that Braun Breaker might be next for him or on the horizon. What about Jey Uso defeated Big Bronson Reed, Greg? Were you okay with that booking?
Yeah, it was fine. It was, a good match.
Jimmy and Jay need to be winning matches so they can prove why they need to go after each other, I guess, right?
Right. I'm curious to see how they're going to get these two, in the same bubble, just in time for WrestleMania with no promotion between each other. I think Elimination Chamber is going to end up being the next one with both of them in the same place at the same time, but it's hard to do from two different brands.
Could they both be in the chamber? Maybe we do 3 Raw and 3 SmackDown?
You could. That'd probably be the best way to do it. If you don't lay hands on each other, then there's no reason to do it.
But if they do, then
yeah, we got it for 5 minutes at the beginning of the Rumble. Another, to get more time in the chamber, being in there with each other. So, and this time you could have one of them lay the other out or pin the other one.
Yeah, and then
that would give grounds for that. And then you can start cutting promos about I want to fight you, and everybody gets into it.
Nick Aldis can make it like they could come together for Mania and make that happen. So Yeah, I
Right.
think it's fine. So I think we see Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley happen at Elimination Chamber, right?
Yep.
So that's fine. I think Rhea getting a big win in her home country's big, and then we kind of talked about Drew and Sammy. So how about some predictions, Greg? Tonight is NXT Vengeance Day. Dijak and Joe Gacy no DQ match. Looks like we're finally getting unhinged. Don't know where the hell he's going, Greg, with Joe Gacy, but hey, he's not creeping around doing whatever he was doing. He's actually fighting now. Which direction do you think you're going with this one, Greg? Dijak or Joe Gacy?
Well, we're weirdly getting Gacy out of his previous persona and shifting him into something different. This is how a character evolves.
Yeah.
So, I think this is where it hits its next stage of development.
Wherever that's going.
Right, wherever that is.
Which, I
He
don't.
needs to get out of the Wyatt shadow, that creepy Wyatt
I mean,
shadow, and do something more of his own style. The all black and the creepy wording and all that stuff is too reminiscent. So, keep pivoting him out and into something different. So I'm going to call it for Jace or for Gacy, and having some strange finish, but he'll get a pin in the middle of the ring. So
I think I'm going to agree with you. I think Gacy needs to win more so. I mean, I do feel like Dijak, he's kind of that heel, Greg, I think that you were talking about earlier. He talks a big game, but I feel like we haven't seen Dijak win anything really big yet. And,
yeah.
Maybe this year's his year to kind of see where he can go. Maybe, maybe at the end of this year, he's our Iron Survivor and, getting a title shot or something like that. But right now, in the short term, I think Gacy needs to win more. We got the family versus OTM out of the mud, right? We got the women involved. We got Rizzo, not from Greece, Greg. So, but we also have Jada Parker involved. So I'm guessing we'll see them go at each other. Obviously, we'll see some intergender stuff, happening here and there. We won't see them, really fight each other, Greg. But I'm going to go with the family. I just feel like they tend to win these type of deals, random matches, Greg. So, but I think Jada Parker will show out just because we've already seen the two dudes of OTM. So it's out.
Mhm.
We need to see Jada Parker do her own thing. But I'm going to go with the family over the win. Maybe OTM wins some tag team title match or tag team contender match down the road and gets a reshot. But for now, it's all about the family, Greg.
Right. Um, I think you're right that it's about the women in this case, because we've
Mhm.
seen the family and OTM go at each other,
Yeah.
and it being uneven as in the sense that one has had a woman helping and one is not,
Yeah.
and now it's the sides are equal. And I think because the family has been winning everything, that this lends itself to
Maybe
the women, and that being a reason why that OTM actually
yeah.
wins,
And
because
that broke.
Jada gets the pin, and that sets the feud between those two
Yeah.
separate of
I think so, yeah.
the men, um, and it gives OTM a legit win. Is this for the titles though? I
No, it's
forgot
just
what.
six person because
Okay,
it's
so
six person. Yeah.
even more sense, and then it gives them reason to um, put the titles back on the line
Down
later.
the road. Yeah. Because
So
right now we're looking at the Dusty Cup final, Greg. Whoever wins that would get the next title shot.
yeah, so I'll officially go for OT, or call it for OTM this time
Out in the mud.
because of the
What
women.
a name.
I
And
know.
who
It's like,
thought,
what does
Greg,
that
that Reggie
mean?
would still have a career? I mean, props to him. He's turned into the JTG, Greg, where I think they always thought he'd get the call about, hey, by the way, you're released, but he's not answering that Stamford, Connecticut call, Greg, yet. So good. Props on Reggie
Yeah,
slash Scripps, as he's called. So man, what a weird run he's had, right? I mean, when you
no
really
kidding.
consider his time. So But this one, I'm probably going to let you go first, Greg, because I keep going back and forth. I think my winner, though, plays a part in the title match later on with Dragunov and Trick Williams, Greg. But Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker versus Carmelo and Trick.
Mm-hmm.
I could see an argument for both teams. So I'll let you have it first and then kind of give my own thoughts on which direction I think I'm going in. I'll probably talk out of both sides of my mouth for a minute before I get to it.
Well, I love this matchup, so it's going to be, definitely a banger.
Yeah.
I'm just watching this unravel just because I want to see where the point is where Carmelo comes out as the one who took out Trick. I think that's what we're all waiting for. Okay, when's it going to happen? Where's it going to be?
Can you have them win
the
and then
match.
still play out at the end of the night, Greg? He cost Trick anyway in the match.
You could.
I feel like that's where I'm leaning more towards. Like they'll win it tonight, and get a title shot, but somehow Carmelo still cost Trick. I don't know. That feels very overbooked though. So it's a weird, but it feels like Carmelo's got to play a part in the main event. Ultimately.
Right. I think that Carmelo and Trick get the win, and like I said, that sets the stage for the main event. And at the end of the night, who's going to be standing with his hair raised? It's going to be Carmelo.
Maybe they just don't get their shot because of it.
I think it's up that he causes Trick to lose.
Yeah.
And then we see the beatdown, and then it's the I did it. And he stands there as the camera goes off on the turnbuckle with his hand
Baron
up.
and Braun the title shot just in the meantime. Ava Rain can, since she's acting GM, on Tuesday night, she can say, due to injury, maybe Trick's injured or something like that. But I guess it's weird with Braun because you think he's getting, we think he's getting the call up, Greg. So I think a final match, and I guess I'll go Baron and Braun in a way, Greg, because, Baron didn't get to win the first one. Maybe he wins this one. He's taking all the credit. But then Braun will kind of get the ultimate laugh because he'll be on the main roster. So
right.
I'll go Baron and Braun, but I still think Carmelo plays a big part in the end of the night. And Carmelo is standing tall at the end of the night. So what about Oba? Femi showing a heel side, Greg, against Dragon Lee. I assume he's going to retain. We know Dragon Lee is a SmackDown star, or SmackDown superstar. Not really, showing much on there yet because I think he's still doing too much down in NXT, Greg. So let Oba get the win there, and then Dragon Lee moves on. Oba moves on as a heel, and kind of see where that goes with the NXT North American Championship. Which direction are you going, Greg?
No, I agree. I think this is about wrapping up the loose ends.
Yeah.
As far as getting the title in the right place, getting the title off of Mysterio, and now that that's done, he can finish his duties in NXT and go back to the main roster full time, and put Obafemi over on the way out the door. It's the NXT way, and nobody's going to think about this match next week when he's wrestling against Legado later. So, I'm with you. For me, wins, gives him a little extra after the match just to kind of finish him off and, and continue, he absorbs the shine of Dragon Lee on the way out the door. So it makes sense.
And I feel like in the next match, Lyra's going to get the win, Greg, but Roxanne ultimately stands tall. I think she's going to beat down Lyra afterwards. Finally let that full heel turn happen for Roxanne. Now that you have Cora Jade out, Greg, for some time, we can let Roxanne be the bratty, catty, heel that I think Cora was going to be, Greg. I guess it'll be interesting to see if maybe Cora Jade gets some love coming back, Greg, because we have CM Punk rooting for her. Could you play up Cora Jade maybe in a sympathy role, trying to get back, at full strength? But that's another discussion for another day. But like I said, Lyra obviously retains, but Roxanne standing tall. I guess I have a lot of heels standing tall, Greg, but at the end of the day, I think we do need some heels, little stronger heels down in NXT for the time being. So
Yeah.
Roxanne is definitely headed on that. Let Booker T say is what the hell a couple of times and shucky ducky type stuff. But oh wait, sorry, Booker T will not be there. He put out a tweet saying he had to do a medical procedure. Sorry. So, but either way,
bummer.
Roxanne will be standing tall at the end of this match without the title. Is where I'm going. So, which direction are you going, Greg?
All right, you bummed me out a little bit.
I know, sorry.
Booker T's not going to be.
Booker T. What
Especially,
a horrible night.
I know you're really heartbroken about that. But when Braun Breaker comes out, no bread, no water, just meat. I love that. But and he's not going to follow to the main roster. That quote is going to die right there.
And Corey, I'm sure Corey will take it over a couple times. Because
right?
Corey Graves usually brings up a little things here and there that we don't normally hear. So
right, but that's a great quote. I love that. Every time Braun comes out, you're gonna get it. It's like, okay, where is it? Wait for it. No bread, no water. It's like, yes. And then the same thing when Trick comes out, and I like it. The thing he does, and just it's catchy, and you just stick with it. And now there could be 2 Trick matches, and Booker's not there. It's not fair. So it's a little bummed about that now, hearing it for the first time. So that's gonna bring down my excitement level just a smidge. And then I missed the part with Cora being out, because last time I saw her, she had just come back. So I don't know what happened to her, but
wrecked her ACL and MCL and all the L's, I think, in her knee.
Yikes.
So she is down for the count. I think at least a year, maybe, or a little bit more, a little bit less than that, Greg. So yeah, she is out for the foreseeable future. Got the surgery, but there is a nice little video with her and CM Punk. I guess JC Jane and Roxanne were at a smoothie place, Greg, with Cora, and trying to keep her there. And CM Punk was filming his stuff for the Royal Rumble, and he's like, "Hey, we got to make a quick pit stop and surprise Cora Jade," because there's a picture of them meeting way back in the day. So you always got to recreate those moments. But yeah,
absolutely. I agree with you that Lyra's going to win the match, and we get to see heel Roxanne in the flesh, full turn, with no Booker T to put it over even more as he would have. Yeah. So that's a bummer, but yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. That's what's going down. Lyra's looking great, so at least all the heels aren't getting over in this on this show, especially at the top of the card. So it's just going to be heel heavy as far as who gets the last laugh in these matches.
Well, especially because I think with the main event, Greg, of Dragunov and Trick, I think you want Trick and Carmelo to do just all-out battle before Carmelo gets the call-up. And, maybe he will put over Trick. Or he goes over and says, "I'm done here. I've done all I can now that I've put down, everybody. I was, him. And now it's time to move on." So that's what, I think Dragunov obviously retains in the main event, Greg. But ultimately, I think the bigger story is Carmelo and Trick. Something's got to happen there. We got to finally pull that, string apart. Let that finally play out. And what better way than tonight, let NXT in with some steam. Because right now, like I said, Greg, I feel like nobody's talking about this premium light event tonight. I just feel like there's no real hype to it. So I think we need something to really leave some steam for it heading into Tuesday night.
Yeah, it would, of course, dragging off all the way.
Yeah.
But it would be a great way. It's a very Carmelo way to walk out than to have him pick the bones of trick, maybe as he's getting up, wiping out with a chair or something to that effect. Like, you want to know who took you out, trick? It was him. And just nice mic drop out of the way, and mystery solved. We knew it all along, and now here it is, and he gets to get out of there unscathed. So and that would get everybody talking, and that leaves Trick down there to maybe he's next to come up, or
find his way back to the title, maybe later this year.
Yeah, that puts a little fire in his gut. Maybe he comes out a little different.
Yeah, and I mean, you could end up. I mean, I guess we don't know. We could end up calling Trick and Carmelo. Maybe let them battle play out on the main roster a little bit. So let that have some steam up there. But nope, that's old. Should we start at the end, Greg? With so we had Cody Rhodes announcing he's going to give up his spot, but he had to take special counsel, Greg, from a certain somebody, which ended up being The Rock. So now that we didn't announce anything, the big we gotta wait till Thursday to see is The Rock and Roman happening for sure, Greg. I think we both said it. Whatever The Rock's schedule allows, you got to do the match. So I hate that it's maybe at the expense of Cody, Greg, but Cody and Seth is still going to be a banger. Maybe Cody finishes the match, the story there. It does suck a little bit because this is the Rocky story, Greg. Like, it was tailor made for Cody, for Roman. You could have had a training montage. R.I.P. Carl Weathers, Greg, over the week. Yeah. You could have had Gonna Fly Now playing in the background. Maybe Shane McMahon helps Cody Rhodes, a la Vince McMahon when he was training for the Rumble, Greg. Maybe Cody's chasing some chickens in the winter, but The Rock and Roman has to happen. If The Rock's ready, if he thinks he can do it, he has. I mean, he already dropped the bombshell, Greg, where he said, should he go after the head of the table? So you couldn't have left it there. It is just interesting how The Rock is in this state that he, the director's seat as he is. I guess it's almost like Adam Sandler put himself in the movie, Greg, and directing the movie at the same time. But it has to happen if The Rock can do it. I think because who's to say next year maybe The Rock does get busy again. Between TKO Endeavor stuff, between USFL, Greg, between movies, between whatever else, The Rock maybe helping Ava get her ring getting even better on the mic and in the ring. So if we need to pull the trigger on it, we need to pull it this year. That's my rant on it, Greg. Let's hear your take on it.
Well, I'm gonna do a hot take. Very too early shot call for next year's WrestleMania.
The 41.
41.
Do you think that takes place in Vegas? It sounds like if you're going to do the press conference in Vegas.
It would make sense. I mean, why not? Wear better.
Yeah.
But I'm going to shot call and say the main event of night one is going to be Charlotte Flair versus Ava.
Okay.
And we're going to have the second generation daughters in the top slot for night one. And by that time, Ava's going to be a juggernaut, and that's going to be the holy bleep moment of night one. So there you go. So this is my long distance shot call for next year.
Yep, that's a shot at if I ever heard one, Greg.
So as far as this one goes, it left me confused and I'm sure it left a lot of people confused. I mean, we enjoy seeing The Rock come out and finally getting that face off in the ring with Roman Reigns,
Mhm.
but hearing Cody go, I'm coming for you, but not at WrestleMania. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, this is what we're working for. This is granddaddy of them all.
Mhm.
You want your moment. You want your moment at WrestleMania, but he took counsel with The Rock, and now Rock is taking his place, or it's like Money in the Bank, where you got your opportunity, but you're calling that you're not going to use your opportunity until later, because isn't the whole
Or
idea of
sooner.
the Rumble
Could he do it
or
sooner?
sooner? If they do it sooner and he wins, then it makes sense. But the whole idea of winning the Rumble is the winner gets the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So it's not even like Money in the Bank where you can use it anytime during the next year. It's specific to the winner gets the main event at WrestleMania. So, how are we weaseling out of this where, you know, I'm not going to use my at WrestleMania shot and I'm coming for you, but just not now. It makes no sense. He's not injured. And, yeah, he's standing there taking counsel from The Rock, but now it looks like Rock talked him out of, you know, going and taking his moment at WrestleMania. Um, so I want to see what the explanation for this is. I know all of us are trying to figure out how is this going to work with Roman and Cody in the mix. Is he going to do Cody night one and Rock night two, or but if this is the way they do it and Cody doesn't fight Roman at all on WrestleMania, then I get why people are upset. So it just needs more explanation for me, because um, this is the moment we've been waiting for at WrestleMania. Emphasize those words, at WrestleMania. That Cody finally gets his moment, finishes his story. Big happy ending, yada yada yada. But if he just waits and goes at SummerSlam instead, then the WrestleMania season is pointless. If they're just going to pivot out of it at the council of the
Rock.
biggest, right, the most electrifying man in all of entertainment.
Your board of directors. So if your board of director, Greg, tells you to do something, you got to do it, right?
Right, exactly. He's still your boss now.
Now,
So
the thing that was floating
uh,
out there is maybe Cody wins the uh, World Heavyweight title and then wins the WWE Universal Championship, Greg. But we can't have one champion again, right? Like
yeah,
he
I
could
mean, you
win, he could
just
challenge at say so he wins at WrestleMania, but then challenges at SummerSlam against Roman. But that would just get us back to one champion with two titles, and we can't go down that road again yet, unless
yeah,
you're just gonna just throw out the brand split and throw out. I think then you gotta pare down everything. So it's got to be one men's champion, one women's champion, one tag champion, and one one secondary title, right? So that idea, I'm not really sure whether like why that would fly, Greg. And
mhm.
plus, if Roman is still champion by SummerSlam, I mean, you almost have to go through the rest of the year so he can beat Hogan's spot, which is right around September. I mean, you're not gonna blow it then, right?
Right. And
So
again, that makes no sense, and there's no point in it. You're gonna leave the belt on him for another year so he can pass Hogan, who's number two. It's not even for the number one spot. You don't
that's
become
true.
the longest reigning champion ever, 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 and you still have another 3 years before you eclipse Bruno.
Yeah,
Um, you're doing all this heavy lifting and all this work for the number two spot.
that's
So
true.
to me, that's where it's just excessive and unnecessary. If he was that close to being number one, then I get it. But this is not for number one. You're 3 years away from getting to number one.
Yeah.
So
Which,
um,
man.
nobody is here for 3 more years of Roman is number one. So as
Yeah.
as the uh, as the champion, the change needs to happen. And um, So I don't get it. I want to see what the explanation of it is and how this is all going to play out. If Cody is not at WrestleMania, then um, that's a huge point people are going to be mad about, and it's going to get a lot more backlash than they expect. So, but I trust Triple H to come up with the right plan.
Yeah, I think we need
And
to see how this next week plays out
yeah,
before we can really, call oh my God, this is really happening. I can't believe it. I hate it. Or, oh my God, this is really happening. Okay, I'm going to get into it. So, just because, like they said, they didn't technically say it's Roman and Rock, officially on the card.
mhm.
Unlike Bailey, Greg, let's get into that. Bailey, finally, uh, who knew all along, Greg? She spoke Japanese, which is really cool, though. And she got to speak some Japanese. I do not know what she said, but we finally saw that get pulled apart. I assume Dakota Kai is going to play a part in this, Greg. Interesting that she wasn't there, but I still
Yeah,
think she'll. I'm guessing maybe make her colors known at WrestleMania. Maybe EO retains because of Dakota Kai, and then Bailey totally has to do the underdog, role, Greg,
yeah,
which is what she's best at. Yeah, I mean the heel side, she's definitely coming her own, Greg, but I think Bailey winning, in due time with a new theme song. I'll be interested. Obviously we can't go back to the hugging theme, Greg, but it should be interesting to see what kind of theme song and how they'll present her going forward. Uh, I love how they're like, oh, she knew this was coming all along because she grabbed that lead pipe. She had that planted there, Greg. But really well done. And getting her kind of the not total beatdown, like she can hold her own against these three, but now we also have she can go through the Kabuki Warriors to get her way to EO, even though she's already announced EO, Greg. So we totally know Bailey's plan. I never thought she was going to face Rhea, Greg. I think you kind of we foresaw that, and
mhm.
now we're off and running. And ultimately, I think Bailey will be better because of it, and I think Dakota Kai is going to be better because of it. Because then you could have Bailey and Dakota Kai at SummerSlam, or maybe Money in the Bank or something. Whenever Dakota's ready, you kind of had the former leaders, the current leader versus the old leader of her own group, almost like an Edge and Judgment Day moment, Greg. So really well done, and having Bailey say, "Hey, I knew you guys were talking about me all along." Let her know. She was getting played in a way, Greg, but I guess that is the weird part. She knew she was getting played, but she kept playing along. I
Mhm.
guess you could say so. Sounds like a toxic relationship in my mind, Greg. But hey, some people do get stuck in those ruts. But yeah, Bailey and Io at WrestleMania is all set for that for the path, Greg. So give your own little thoughts, your own thoughts on that regard.
Yeah, I thought it was great the way that this segment played out, um, and it totally makes sense that of course she knows Japanese. Um,
I mean, she's
she
been
was the one
around
who managed.
forever.
Yeah, she's been wrestling forever. She's done many tours to Japan, and she managed the Kabuki Warriors the first time before Kyrie left WWE. So it would only make sense that she already knows uh, Japanese from even that era. So, and this goes to speaking to the experience of Bailey of having this plan percolating in her mind, knowing she's going to come out and be making this announcement and expecting that they were going to turn on her. I'm going to put a little pipe here just in case I need it for an insurance policy. And then next week on SmackDown, she comes out and explains just that. So it's, usually the babyface looks like an idiot when she gets turned on, and this is um, flew against that. She knows it and she was prepared for it.
And she could still
And
get beat at Mania and have to start over and go back
yeah,
after EOS. So, what about Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits? So now we're finally getting BFAB involved, Greg. Yeah. Uh,
yeah. Well, you need a woman in the mix just because there's Scarlet Thatcher.
Yeah.
So I get it. And
I just didn't think Scarlett would be getting involved right away.
Well, she's always involved in crosses matches, though, in some little way, underhanded way. And even BFAB with her big coming out moment, she still managed to eat it, delivering the pump kick. Yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the her being in the mix with the Street Profits and Lashley, and looking like the Hurt Business 2.0. When
I guess there is Naomi, you could throw Naomi in the Street Profits and have a tailor-made, have an even better role for her. But,
yeah. But what are they going to do with Naomi? They're going to throw her in with, make her heel, put her with the bloodline. But with her coming out with the glow routine, it doesn't look like that way. So I'm curious what's going to happen to her too.
Will be the plan going forward, because we had Tiffany get the contract right after Naomi, and then Tiffany goes after Meechin, who's out there. So Tiffany and Meechin main evented, Greg, technically, SmackDown. So Tiffany Stratton already can mark off first main event of a SmackDown, which is crazy to think he got the win. But I do think it looks like Tiffany Stratton and Naomi are heading on a collision course, even though we still think Naomi and Bianca Belair or Bianca and Jade. So there's still other juicy stuff out there, Greg, for our women. So Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate also picked up a win. Anything else for the good of the matter on the WWE and Greg before we take a quick commercial break and pivot into AW stuff?
No, just a lot of moving pieces, and I like seeing the formation of that pyramid for WrestleMania, with getting everybody paired off where they need to be. It was a great Rumble, very entertaining Rumble, and the Fallout shows have been great. So we're all on pins and needles to see what happens next. I'm a little bummed about my guy, my guy Brock Lesnar being involved in the Vince mix. Me, when I'm behind the guy, when I'm behind my guys, I will defend them to the end. But because we talked about it last week, and this is being a woman is being worked into the contract of a certain WWE and UFC star. Well, it could be Cain Velasquez. It could be it's Brock. So
the fact that they're, like they said, there's no plans internally, externally for him, Greg, because you got to assume he was going to be involved in WrestleMania. It looked like him and Gunther would have been the plan. But yeah.
And well, when I saw that that Braun was in the Brock spot and would have had a match with Dominic.
Yeah. So that sounds like yes. That was one of the plans too. So
I would have hated that, because that means Dominic would have eliminated Brock, and that would have made no sense at all. And so
and Brock is obviously not a social media guy, Greg. So he's not going to come out and give us any denials, So yeah, what a way to write off Brock Lesnar.
I know it's.
We can't. It's hard to say anything, because you don't know which direction. It's hard to know which one's the truth, because you want to believe the women's side of things, Greg, but of course some women have come out, but like we said, there's text messages.
The stories are out there, and there's physical evidence in the form of those text messages that Rock actually had a woman written into his new deal when they were trying to recruit him to come back. So there's a lot of smoking guns out there right now, and seeing that they may offer Brock immunity to testify against Vince.
Yeah, that's
so. that can end up being a thing, and then we get all the tea spilled. So, and then be curious if, because now that the FBI is getting involved, maybe they offer that to more members of the roster to flesh out the story even more. We
Like
won't
I said,
prosecute you, but you have to go on the stand.
and like they
And
said, they could wipe house. I mean, who's to say Nick Khan didn't know more than he knew? Triple H, Greg. I mean, if
yeah,
you're really cleaning house and I mean, we could be under a whole new leadership, but I mean, Triple H, it sounds like is kind of playing it as he didn't really know the inner workings, Greg. But then people are like, well, your Vince is right. You're one of the top,
right.
like,
That would be
it's,
even for me, who loves Triple H.
yeah.
That would be hard for me to believe.
Especially if stuff was happening, like they said, in an office, like at Titan Towers, Greg. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't, yeah. So, on
you're
that
dating
note,
the boss's daughter, and you already know it's like,
yeah, you're married
it,
into the family. Our Nick Khan, who he's obviously a high official. Bruce Pritchard, Greg. I mean, there's plenty of name. I mean, who's to say Paul Heyman? I mean, how do we know Paul? I can't
mhm,
imagine Paul Heyman didn't know anything going on.
right,
Or if we start getting into superstars, I mean, it. There's definitely a big web. Like a family, like a tree of family. A family tree. Like who's to say who knew what, Greg? Uh,
right.
so
I think we may find out this year.
yeah, or it could just all get done behind closed doors, and you would think somebody would leak something though.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I just think you feel like TKO, the main guy, Ariel or whatever, whoever. There's a main like the signing, the putting of the Rock in place, Greg, makes
Yeah,
me think somebody had to know something was coming down the pipeline. 'Cause I don't think you put the Rock in that role for no reason.
sure.
All right, let's get some elite performance talk, Greg. We saw our bare knuckle fighter Steve O'Morris with a nice TikTok video out there that has shown him getting ready for his fight. Our BW Sports One owned athlete, so always looking to get
Hey,
more athletes and talent involved. So definitely get in touch with us, and we can hook you up with Dan and BW Sports One and try to get you some elite performance. Um, Training and get you some merch and all that good stuff. So we are going to have a bare knuckles fighter in that fight pretty soon. So I believe March was the date. So as we get more information, we'll definitely pass on the pipeline, as I say. But let's do a late performance talk real quick, and then get right into AW talk. Alrighty, so AEW stuff. Okada, Greg, still kind of in the forefront of people's minds. I guess WWE officials are saying if he's going to come here, he's going to come here. But then AEW thinks they made a high offer. Any direction, Greg, you think we're going? I mean, I guess we didn't see him at the Rumble, and there's no real talk. Maybe tonight we could see him, maybe in the crowd. NXT does love doing those old school, or loves doing those old, oh, here's the star sitting ringside, Greg. But I felt like we haven't done that in a little bit, so I guess it would be huge if Okada was sitting ringside tonight. I don't know. It just still feels like he's probably going to AEW. Just feels like he's better suited there. He knows the workings of there. But then again, if he wants that, kind of that challenge, Greg, then he goes to WWE. But which direction do you think you're going now, Greg? Feels like it changes week to week though with him, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's ready for AEW with the familiarity factor, with the fact that they're not just um, a number two promotion; they're kind of 1A to
Yeah.
WWE now. They've really worked their way up in this 4 years since their inception, and they're a legitimate, strong brand with great stars, great matches. Everything is going to be top notch. So it's not like a step down from WWE. Um, so it makes sense that he would go there. If WWE is going to take him, it would have him come in as as great as he is. I would have him beat Roman on his first night. Maybe have some way that the challenger that was scheduled for Roman can't be there, and this guy is going to take his place, and Okada comes out and beats Roman and really testify to his greatness. Um, he needs a moment like that if we're going to put him on a WWE roster, because he is the modern day Ric Flair as far as how great he is in the ring, how outstanding his matches are, and you can't just put him in the middle with the mid carders. And how else are you going to put him at the top spot is as the King of the Mountain and having him beat the King of the Mountain? So um, if I was WWE, that's how I'd bring him in. But I think he's going to end up on AEW as one of the top dogs there.
And the other big AEW, Brian Alvarez, Greg, I feel like he keeps tweeting this or keeps saying Mercedes will be up this week. Then he's like, oh, wait, now I'm here next week. Now I'm here next week. I feel like we're in this SpongeBob 3 hours later TikTok feed that people do, Greg. But Tony Khan, Greg, has got another big announcement. It's got to be Mercedes, right? I mean, what other big? I mean, we already have AEW All In London. We already know Sting's last match. I mean, I guess Okada could be the big announcement, Greg. But yeah, the Tony Khan big announcement stuff definitely is overplayed. I think we need to
Yeah.
stop with the big announcement. And I get it's Tony Khan. That's how he's going to play it up, Greg, for the rest of his life. But now we're saying Mercedes will be here this week, which means she won't be.
No, I think you want to save her for the big stage. Big stars should get big stages, and Revolution is the next big stage. So March 3rd, Greensboro, right down the road from me. Have her come out, at whatever point, but she needs that big moment where the most eyes are on her, not just a random dynamite. So if I was Tony Khan, that's what I would do. She's going to have her first match at Revolution against whomever. But that could be the big announcement right there. I think that would fit the bill.
Here's some stuff from Dynamite. So John Moxley defeated Jeff Hardy. We also saw CMLL competitors at ringside, Greg. Looks like we're going to get some Blackpool Combat Club action with those CMLL competitors. Jeff Hardy swore off the handshake at the end, Greg. Looks like, we're seeing a little different side of Jeff Hardy. Any thoughts on that? Maybe a heel Jeff Hardy for once, right?
Hey, he's been losing everything every time. So it's like maybe it is time for a character shift and a little.
I don't really see. I guess TNA he was kind of heel, right, with Broken Man a little bit, but not really.
Yeah. He was. They were doing their own weird thing, and he was a
Is that when
little
he was
black and white
Willow?
character. Yeah, when he was Willow. Yeah.
Okay.
Which wasn't heel either. It was just
I guess that's
different. So
maybe it's a true. And in WWE, he was never heel. I felt like Matt Hardy was always the heel when they fought one on one. So maybe Hardy, does a heel run to kind of round out his career, or at least slide into third base and then finish his career. I don't know why the Hardys aren't crawling and begging to get back to WWE, Greg.
Yeah, I mean,
and
their time
truly
and
set, get in the Hall of Fame and just call it a day.
yeah, it's going to happen, but they should have been there 6 months ago.
Probably, yeah. Or 6 years ago, maybe, at this rate. So, Hangman Adam Page defeated Toa Liana, sorry, of the Mogul Embassy. And then we also saw Hangman pick RVD, Greg, for Swerve Strickland's match. That was our main event on AEW Dynamite, Greg. Uh,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what we
ultimately,
want.
we're headed towards Swerve, Hangman, and Samoa Joe at Revolution. But we're just taking this is where I think the 3 months between pay-per-views, Greg, really downplay. Like, it's a lot of time to play, and I don't. Do you think people are still going to be excited about it with Swerve, with Hangman against Samoa Joe by the time we get to it?
Yes, just because Swerve is still the number one heel in the game. Everybody's loves Swerve just because he's a heel's heel, and
Yeah,
he's the bad guy we love. And that fire, his heat is not going away. And as long as Prince Nana is two-stepping and twirling down to the ring behind him,
which he
it's
wasn't
not
last
going
night,
anywhere.
or he wasn't
That's
there on
true.
SmackDown. I mean, sorry, we were just on Dynamite. He was not with Toa. Let's
He
see
will be
the
though.
need a
It
week
wasn't
off.
his match, so
Yeah.
so that's
Does
it.
Swerve get the title? That's where
You
I think
know,
I'm struggling. Like, I mean, all the momentum is there for Swerve to get the title, but Samoa Joe just got it.
right? Exactly. With this being a triple threat, Joe could easily take this, and then the one-on-one Swerve versus Joe can go down because Swerve can always say, "You haven't beat me one-on-one yet. Yeah, you won that match,
That's true.
but that was a triple threat.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me and you mix it up one-on-one and see who the better man is." So that's an easy
That could
fix,
happen at Double or Nothing in May.
right? And then you can drag that out for another couple months and eventually give Swerve the title if you want to go that way. But
I mean, Swerve's got
um,
to win it this year, right?
I think so. I mean, he's
There's too
he's
much
just too
momentum
good.
there. I think you really want to prove that, Swerve is who he is.
I don't think Swerve's had a title since he came into the company yet.
No.
So
Uh, I mean, the TNT title's not, I mean, at this rate, it's too low for him. And
yeah,
the Continental title, or whatever, the inner, whatever there's, the Orange Cassidy title. And then, of course, you have Eddie Kingston's title. Once again, too many damn titles, but Mr. Wardlow, Mr. Mayhem, Greg, Wardlow, Dasha got a little confused with what name Wardlow's going by this week. Defeats Commander. Undisputed Kingdom. Are we already writing them off, Greg? I feel like they got no juice right now.
that's true. As long as
I mean, do
Adam
we have to
Cole
wait
is
for
limping
MJF to
around,
come back?
no, it's not even that. It's just as long as Adam Cole is limping around with a walking boot,
Yeah.
the rest of them don't have anything for us.
I mean, I guess.
Adam Cole makes the whole thing go, and if we love story time with Adam Cole, baby, but until he gets in the ring and he's calling the shots and running the show, then we're stuck with Roddy Strong and the other two Goon Squad
I
members.
mean, and
So
Roddy beating Orange Cassidy, I don't think really does much other than give him a title, right?
right, it gives him cheap heat for beating Orange,
Yeah.
but that's it. I mean,
I don't. Yeah.
nobody's going to look at him differently because now he's got a title and he's yelling in people's faces.
Yeah. Chris Jericho defeated Kyle Fletcher. Deonna Purrazzo and Taya, your gal, Greg, Taya, right? Making out with Johnny TV. Nothing beats Tony Storm's reaction to that. But yeah, we're gonna get Deonna and Timeless Tony Storm at Revolution. And like we said, maybe that's when Mercedes comes out afterwards and gets involved in the women's picture right away. But
Yeah.
any thoughts on kind of Chris Jericho and Deanna picking up some wins, Greg?
Yeah, well, my girl Taya is the most beautiful member of the job squad. She's just going to keep taking L's and, you know,
Be with her
smooching
husband.
with Johnny on TV, right? Making out on TV. I'm disappointed that Jericho went over Kyle Fletcher because they're nowhere on the same plane now as far as in ring wise. Kyle Fletcher is a killer, and I don't know, he's diminished a little bit in this role.
And I guess
So,
Jericho did have to do 2 Judas effects, right, to like knock him down.
right. So I didn't love it. Jericho's top dog. He's an OG as far as the outside of AEW, but I get that. But it's time to wind it down. Sting finally got the message. It's about time for Jericho to get the message. So I'm slowly closing the door on Jericho because I love Jericho so much.
Yeah,
but
but
I remember
you
him
could just
back
see. I feel like he's not. There's something missing. I mean, you could tell that the fire's not there.
yeah, I mean, and his match quality has gone way down as far as him being able to, general a match and have it look amazing. It's going quick. It's like the quarterback who loses his steam and
it's like
he
that
can't
athlete
throw it
that's
anymore.
trying to hold on.
Yeah,
but they know it's done.
well,
Like
he's
I said,
the last one to find out. That's the problem. We all see it,
yeah.
and he's the last one to figure it out.
Yeah. Some stuff from Rampage, Top Flight, and Private Party are still kind of going at it, Greg. It does look like we're going towards a heel Private Party. Probably much needed for them. We've already seen Private Party in a pretty strong light. Coming back. Top Flight are the Young Guns. They are on Hey You with RJ City today, Greg. So if you want to check that on YouTube, you can learn more about Top Flight. But any thoughts on Top Flight and Private Party going at it? It looks like they're just kind of going to go at it for the next couple months till one goes over the other, right?
Right. And why not? You need to establish them. They're about on the same level as far as where they are in their careers, how good they are in the ring. They can, it makes for a pretty balanced match, and it's a good, launch pad for bigger matches down the road. If they can get a good series of matches going on and get people behind it, then both of them come out better.
Some other things, we had Big Bill and Ricky Starks keep winning, Greg. Dark Order, man. I don't, right now I think AEW just doesn't have a lot of steam other than the main event, right? I mean, everybody else is just kind of there. Will Nightingale defeated Queen Aminata, Greg? I don't know if we've seen Queen's all elite status yet, but she sure is taking a lot of L's on TV because she also lost on Collision. So if she doesn't have an all elite status yet, well then I don't know what the hell they're waiting for, because you sure are giving this girl a lot of screen time. Not a lot of screen time, Greg, but you're giving her screen time in L's a lot. So I think she is signed, but I don't think she would be on TV this much if she wasn't. And then, yes, the CMLL Luchadors, Greg, defeated Team AEW, which is, let's face it, Team Job Squad, because I think it was like Angelo Parker, Daddy Magic, and a couple other guys.
So. Yeah, the problem with the women is that the true star power is still not there. I mean, where's Britt? She's, we haven't seen her in a ring in forever. I don't know if she's has an injury or what's going on with her, but she's not here.
Hater's still on the injury list. So we got to wait on her to come back.
Right, and Mercedes could be a big shot in the arm.
I mean, Tony Storm is hearing it, but there's just no, Deanna's trying. I mean, Deanna's looking like a star now. Just 3 matches in, Greg. I mean, and she is, but it's just funny to think like, she's had to come in to kind of carry a load, for the women's division. I thought maybe Sky Blue and Julia Hart would be on a higher plane, Greg, but they're kind of relegated to just things here and there.
Yeah.
Willow, obviously, Chris Statlander. I mean, you have women there that are talented. I just think you don't have the storylines and the juice to get behind it right now.
Right. And we just did have the return of Serena Deeb.
Yep. That was
And
last night.
Yep. And like I said, the
Red Velvet.
well, nobody's screaming for Red Velvet, but
hey, I think it's got to be all hands on deck for their women's division.
True. So this he's calling in for some reinforcements, but
yeah,
there's not enough star power. I mean,
sorry, Greg. Dana Brooke is signed to Impact Wrestling.
Oh, dang! Talking about a big get right there.
Elegant, sorry, her new ring name there. So we shall see what she does at Impact Wrestling. What about Tennille? Could we get Tennille in AEW? Her and Riddick Moss maybe doing some things there.
Hey, I'd be down with that.
They need some. They are getting married, Greg. They probably could use the paycheck.
There you go. Tony Khan's got that kind of cash, so bring him in. And I don't know why Saraya hasn't been wrestling more. I saw her at the airport. She looks great. A lot tinier than I thought she was. I guess all those heel boots she wears makes her look a lot taller, but she is tiny.
Too busy with the Harley Cameron stuff, Greg, and Ruby stuff. So, yeah. Here's some results from Collision. Eddie Kingston defeated Brian Keith. Brian Keith did get signed, Greg. The Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith, is what they put on his All Elite. Brian Danielson won. Hook won. Serena Deeb you brought up. What about FTR and Daniel Garcia, Greg? Do you think that's a trio going forward? Or are we still waiting on Garcia and Blackpool Combat Club to finally link up and let Daniel Garcia take off there?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to join Blackpool.
Yeah,
it makes sense, and we were clamoring for it. At a time that last year when it looked like it was going to happen, and they took it away from us because he was part of JAS.
Yeah. Could FTR be part of that too? Do you think?
Joining Blackpool?
Yeah.
I don't see why not. To be honest with you.
I mean, it'd be a big faction, but
True, but we haven't had FTR as that vein of not exactly heels, but badasses since they were in NXT.
And you'd have your hands a little bit in everything, right? Like Daniel Garcia could go after the Orange Cassidy's title, and FTR could go after the tag team, type stuff. But you still have Wheeler Yuta in our Ring of Honor stuff. So they did defeat the Patriarchy. Is that kind of dead in the water, Greg?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Nick Wayne,
nobody cares.
A big shot. misses the table completely. I think he's kind of been dead in the water for a while now. His mom is there. Yeah.
I know it's there. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's just there aside from the top spot.
Yeah, there's nothing really that gets me excited. I feel like right now.
Right. So they're trying. They got to build stars somehow, but
yeah.
But props to we didn't mention it last week, but the Escape the Cage match with the FTR and Garcia against the House of Black, which was awesome. I'll put aside the fact I hate the Escape the Cage condition for this one, just because it worked out well. It was the way it played out.
Yeah.
Great match, and I just wish it had been maybe an elimination cage match. You got pinned, you had to walk. But fantastic match between those teams. So.
Yeah. And then finally, anything for the good of the matter. I saw your sons had Bradley Beals return to the district, Greg. He got a nice little tribute video. They're rolling along, right? They're right at the 6th spot of the playoffs, right? That's where my Pacers sit. We need a win desperately, though, Greg. Tough week. We lost to the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Kings. So it's been a rough week. But we're still sitting sixth place, a game up of seventh and eighth, about 3 games back of fifth and fourth, Greg. So even in a 3-game losing streak, didn't really lose any ground, didn't gain any ground. So big night tonight for my Pacers. They play Charlotte. Really need a win there. What about your Suns, Greg, in the Western Conference picture?
Yeah, that roller coaster keeps churning on.
Down.
It is up and down, up and down. Win a bunch, lose a few. Win them back, win them. It just.
Is everybody back healthy though?
So far, yeah. Like I said, Beal had his return to the district and got some love. KD was just in Brooklyn, and he put up big numbers in Brooklyn while the Suns won. So it looks like both of our teams went on separate paths after that matchup with the Suns and the Pacers, where we put 80 on you in the first half and then still lost the game.
So fun fact, Greg, they said the Pacers are 2-0 when giving up 80 points and a half. So we've won both games when we gave up 80 points and a half. So I guess defense is not our calling card, as you can tell.
I see that. I mean, that was one that was trying to turn the game off at halftime and wake up and go, okay, they lost? And after that, we've been winning every game, and after that, you guys have lost every game, it seems like. So
we did not carry the momentum. And they're still kind of playing up and down with Halliburton's injury. So they've been keeping him on a kind of on a time limit. But, some people have wondered about, it feels like he plays 22 minutes first 3 quarters, and then it's done. Whereas some people are thinking, why not spread those minutes out? A few minutes in the second quarter, maybe sit the third, and then come back and play in the fourth. With that, if you are in a minute restriction, Greg, I'm not Coach Carlisle, so I don't know why what he's doing, but hopefully Halliburton can get off that minutes restriction soon and just go out and play. Because really, we haven't seen him and Siakam really team up. We've seen it in flashes here and there. So trade deadline this Thursday, Greg. I think somebody in our chat dropped that kind of bombshell of a rumor that maybe LeBron was heading to Chicago for LaVine, but now LaVine, Greg, is injured and he's out 4 to 6 months. So I don't think they'll be trading Zach LaVine anytime soon. I think it's got to be this summer, Greg, where we see LeBron ends up, because it's going to be all about what team is going to take a shot on Bronny James's 6 points a game collegiate career, and 2 assists and 4 rebounds or something. His stats are not eye popping, as they say, Greg.
Right.
In his collegiate career. So, but some team is going to take a shot on Bronny James, right?
Yeah, in the second round, naturally, but
I think somebody's going to take it in the first if they think they can get LeBron.
Right, that's the only thing is I'll draft. Maybe there's a little, wink, wink kind of deal going on. I'll draft him in the first round if you come play for us. Yeah. And they would hold the power because you hold his rights and man of your word, you say you're going to come. Detroit it is or something like that. Someplace in the middle of nowhere that is going to lose 60 games this season. But it's a smart play by LeBron because it gets his son paid for pretty much doing nothing in college. So
he gets, I just looked up. It said 5.9 points a game, Greg, 2 rebounds a game, and 2 assists a game in 14 games played. So but hey, Michael Jordan's kids never did anything either. So. and now they're trying to talk up the other son of LeBron. So what footsteps, what shoes to fill, Greg, being the son of LeBron James. So other than that, Trade deadline. I feel like there's really nothing out there. I think that's really calling its name, Greg. I haven't really heard any big rumors that and you feel like the East is pretty much well where they're at. We have Boston, um, Milwaukee, Cleveland, all kind of set. And then your Western Conference, I mean, I still can't believe the Thunder, Greg. They're the young team that's kicking butt, right? In first place. And them and the Timberwolves. Like, I still don't know if I can name 3 or 4 Timberwolves other than what? Carl Anthony Towns?
Right. So I know it's going to be one of those things. You win the regular season, but how can you do when you get to
That's true. Yeah.
when the rubber hits the road in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the teams that get bounced in the first round because they don't have the experience.
Yeah.
They have all the young kids and young legs, and how's it going to hit them when they run into those vets who've been to 3 or 4 finals or have those rings on? So, um, the game changes big time when you make the playoffs. So,
Yeah, that's true.
they're all going to be on notice. So it's going to be fun to watch that when the postseason comes around. So I'm excited for it. Not just because from the Suns there side of it either.
We got the Super Bowl next week. Early prediction, Greg. Chiefs, 49ers. Which one are you going?
49ers. I am not rooting for Patrick Mahomes to win any more Super Bowls. I need Justin Herbert to catch him and pass him. And with Harbaugh in the mix, I have all the faith that that's going to happen. So the Mahomes Super Bowl collection finishes here. I hope he doesn't win, but if he does win, I'm rooting for Herbert to be the new man to take out the king. You talk about the king of the hill from earlier. Yeah. Mahomes is the king of the hill in the AFC right now, but
he's got 2 already, right?
Yeah, 2 already. I think he's going to. They've made the AFC Championship six times in a row.
Yeah, they've made it every year he's played.
So I think next year, changing up the guard, baby. Harbaugh and Herbert are taking over, and
I mean, I want to see Purdy, the last draft pick of whatever draft that was, Greg, win a damn MVP, win a Super.
Absolutely.
I mean, what storyline is better other than Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? But
we're not talking about that. I think Purdy or if Niners going to win, Purdy's going to get MVP, even though I think McCaffrey.
I was going to say he'll probably suck in the game, Greg, but you feel like you'll almost give him the MVP just to spite it.
Yeah.
So, this date in history, speaking of Super Bowl, Greg, was the Colts Super Bowl title, February 4th, 2007. That was the rain-filled bowl against the Bears. Prince played that night, and the Colts. That's when Devin Hester ran back the opening kickoff, Greg. But that was all that was all they wrote for the Bears, and then Peyton Manning and the defense really took over. Peyton Manning scored a couple, I think a TD or run. I think there was a couple run touchdowns, but Super Bowl history there for the Indianapolis Colts. Great, their 1 Super Bowl title in their illustrious history. Because we can't call the Baltimore Colts is with the Baltimore Ravens history, Greg. So the Indianapolis Colts history is separated from that. Because Baltimore was a little myth that we left in the middle of the night on Mayflower trucks and ended up in Indianapolis. I can't imagine, Greg, why a team would be upset about that. But
why would they be salty about that? I don't know.
Can you imagine like that happening now? Like if your Chargers are like, we're going to go to back to San Diego, and their owner just like packs up the team in the middle, like a thief in the night, as they say, and just does it. So
and that's a bad example because we all want the Chargers back in San Diego.
You do want them back, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if they went out to Sacramento.
Yes, there you go. Go north.
To Boise or something.
Or if Oklahoma City went to Seattle, that's a nice long trek. That the Thunder win a title, and then they're like, we're going to go back to Seattle just to spite Seattle and be like, hey, we got a title before you. So, yes, very interesting kind of dynamic there with, and of course, Mr. Irsay, Jim Irsay, A lot of quietness around him right now, Greg. He was battling a big respiratory infection, I guess, is what they were saying, and I guess it gets scarier as you don't hear, And then I think there was a 911 call in early December that he might have overdosed, Greg. So yeah, just a rough go for him. Once again, maybe not realizing when the time's up for you to relinquish your power over something, Greg. I think Irsay, Mr. Irsay might want to, let his daughters take over now. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But like you said, I think I'm excited for the playoffs, especially if my Pacers can get it rolling. I don't know if they'll make noise this year, but I think they'd be a tough out for somebody. But for your Suns, it's all or nothing, right?
Oh, absolutely. We got 3 stars and a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts. It's all or nothing for sure.
All right, well, we'll get out of here, let you enjoy the night. Got my Pacers playing actually starting off soon. Gets the Hornets. And we'll get back next week, kind of catch up on Vengeance Day, see what that, how those play out. Like I said, I think it should be a kind of a heel-heavy presence, as we say, on it. But enjoy the night, enjoy the day, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Peace.
Oh, wrong one. I got an end string, not do the